Dr. Barry Friedberg here, and Angela down there. And you're smiling, my dear.
I am smiling. I hope you're not going to have a lot of laughs at my expense.
No, I just think the idea of just simply explaining why we have this surgical set going on right now allows us to introduce Dr. Friedberg. How can patients, all of us, Angela, Pat, anybody here in the studio, anybody watching, prepare for something that is as serious and as potentially traumatic as surgery?
Well, Pat, I'm glad you asked. It's wonderful to be here. The thing about going to surgery is that you have to move past the idea that it's just the body part that's being operated on. That's the normal thing, just like when I was having my hip done 2 years ago. I was thinking about it, but you can be sure that this brain monitor was going to be part of my anesthetic. So you want to do your homework, you want to interview your anesthesiologist, and the number one question you want to ask is, will I have a brain monitor for my surgery?
Yeah, but wait, hold on just a second.
Yes, sir.
I'm the patient.
Yes.
Angela's the patient.
Yes.
Why do I have to ask for the equipment?
Well, because only 60% of hospitals in the United States have the equipment, and of those, they're only used 20% of the time.
Is it that new?
No, it was FDA approved in 1996, and there have been over 3,500 studies that says, yes, it works.
Have you started counting backwards yet?
I have not, but I've heard it's very easy to put someone to sleep. It's the hardest part is getting them to wake up.
Yes, that's the only part you pay for. Going to sleep is actually free.
How gracious of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever had this experience?
I have not. I've never gone under.
Really?
No, thankfully.
So you've never had surgery?
I've never had surgery. Well,
Wow.
I've had surgery, but I didn't go under. I chose to have the drug that just makes you forget everything.
Ah, little Versed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, all I know is that you seem to be comfortable here, but I think you'll probably make Dr. Friedberg even more comfortable if you ask him whatever it is that you need to know before your first time going under.
Yeah, well, what do I need to know? What do I need to ask? What are the questions I should ask my anesthesiologist when I come in for surgery?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to start this conversation well before you get to the hospital or the surgery center. The first person, as we said before, that you're going to contact is the surgeon. And the leading question to the surgeon is, did you know that anesthesia over medication is routine without a brain monitor? That's what I call a leading question, or I guess my attorney friends would call a leading question.
Say that again. Anesthesia
Over medication is routine if you don't have a brain monitor.
Oh.
Because once you can no longer tell me verbally how asleep you are, I have to guess like I guessed for the 20 years before I started using this monitor. And that would be guessed on your age and your body weight. Yes, I know she's awake. Wants to keep telling me that. Okay.
So before this, you could not monitor that?
You could not get the information. All we had were the parameters that you see here that tell me everything about you from the neck down, which is your blood pressure, your electrocardiogram, and since 1984, the little doodad on your fingertip, the pulse oximeter, which is displayed down here. Now that's great. Before 1996, we couldn't get this information from these.
Man, it sounds like there's an awful lot of guesswork. We didn't have the fingertip thing before
Yes.
84.
Right.
This in the 90s.
96.
Well, what was going on before? Just all of a sudden a shot of tequila?
Educated guessing, and we got very good at guessing, but because we were very good, we had to give too much for fear of giving too little, which is how I evolved talking about this as Goldilocks anesthesia, because most people, except my Hispanic patients, recognize Goldilocks as a story of not too much and not too little. And my great conquest, not being a native Spanish speaker, was to find out Goldilocks is known as recitos de oro. So once you throw that out there, patients, it's a shorthand to say, oh, that's how I know you're not going to give me too much or too little. If you see the band here, this is the area that you'd like to be in. And below that indicates that you're getting too much drug, and above that means that you're not getting enough.
Angela, you're a weight-conscious person, even though you don't seem to have an extra pound on your body. But you constantly are working out, and you seem to be attentive to diet.
Sure.
Does it occur to you that maybe this would be different if you were heavier or lighter? Does that make a difference?
Makes absolutely no difference. All of the dozens of things that we used to try to factor in to make the best educated guess about how much to give don't really matter once we have the final common pathway. How are my drugs affecting your brain? And again, I can't say enough times that the information that you get from the vital signs is important, but there's no way that the signs of your body can tell us about your brain.
Dr. Friedberg, do you use the same medication for every person when they go under?
I do. I do use this. You talking about happiness. I wrote an article back in 2002, long before Michael Jackson made the drug popular, about happy drugs for happy surgery, because most of the time I do anesthesia for elective cosmetic surgery. People are there because they want to feel better about themselves and they want to change their appearance, and propofol is a drug that makes people feel better. In fact,
yeah, but not used at home. I mean,
it's not for use at home.
I went
clearly
crazy when I heard that kind of a thing used apparently only from the standpoint of good medicine in an OR under supervision.
Right. Millions and millions of people have had propofol safely for several reasons. Mostly they were monitored and somebody was watching them. And it appears from the public statements that that was not the case for Mr. Jackson.
My wife had a torn trachea when she was young as a result of a surgical procedure that went on. And when they put the...
Too large a tube.
Okay, when they put the tube down anyway, they tore that.
Yes.
And now, do you have to be careful of that even now, years later?
One still has to be careful when intubating. The technique that I've been doing exclusively for the last 18 years does not require intubation. In fact, it's so simple that the U.S. military has used this technique in Iraq and Afghanistan in the forward units because they don't need an anesthesia machine or large quantities of oxygen.
Let's talk more about that as we continue what has to be a fascinating medical subject, because we all face it at one time or another. All of us, Angela, as Angela and I continue this conversation with Dr. Friedberg, coming up next on the McMahon Group. And don't doze off. Well, now, as a matter of fact, you were just talking about the golden retriever. It's 120 pounds. We just found out that it doesn't matter whether you're a large, portly person or a beautifully proportioned person like my Angela here. Both of us talking to Dr. Barry Friedberg about who should get anesthesia, but mostly who should deliver it.